Knitting in a heat wave, anyone? Not much fun, is it? It's even less fun when you have a cold. Anyway, let me switch my fan off. I may have to keep switching that fan on while I'm filming this. I'm filming this at 8 in the morning to try and do it before my room gets too hot. But we're having a massive heat wave in the southern part of the UK. I don't know if it's quite this warm up north, but in the south it's quite warm. And I've still managed to do quite a lot of knitting and a little bit of crochet. And I have a project I forgot to show you last week, and I made a decision on what I'm taking to Norway with me. So thank you to everyone who commented last week when I asked for advice about which yarn to use. The advice was mixed, but more on that in a minute. And I forgot to show you a project last week that I've worked on. I'm kind of glad I did now, because it gives me more to share this week. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through our website, YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. My online shop now is closed until I get back from Norway in 2 weeks. It'll probably reopen on the 9th or 10th. I think I forgot last week to actually tell you that I'd reduced some of the sabbable yarns on my website. Actually, I'd reduced all the shopple yarns on my website. So the sabbable, lace ball, sab flower, lace flower, crazy sabbable, static 6. I'd reduced all of them because I need to start working on clearing some of this room out when I get back from Norway, so we can decorate it and stuff over the summer. And so I reduced loads of yarns last week, but I forgot to mention it on the podcast. I don't know whether you noticed if you rushed last week, but I was in a bit of a rush last week because I only had 40 minutes or something to film the podcast, and then I had to leave because I had an appointment. So I was in a bit of a rush. So I forgot to mention it. So it's worth signing up to my newsletter because it was in my newsletter last week, but I forgot to mention it here. So make sure you sign up to my newsletter because I don't always remember to mention things here. But I'm going to try while I'm in Norway, while my website is shut, to go through some of the other yarns and reduce them slightly. I need to check stock and stuff, see what I've got, because I need to now, when I get back from Norway, start concentrating on clearing stuff out of this room, so we can decorate it. Everything's got to come out of this room. Not looking forward to it. Anyway, when I get back from Norway, I have some workshops at Black Sheep Wools, June 19th and 20th. 19th of June is Fide Crochet. When I looked last week, there were still 3 spaces left, so there may or may not be this week. I haven't looked yet, but last week there were 3 spaces left. And then on the Saturday, I'm teaching top down raglan, that's fully booked. And then in July, I'm teaching on the 17th and 18th of July, I'm teaching Orenburg lace knitting. That has, well, last time I looked, it had 1 space left. And then I'm teaching 2-color brioche, which I believe is full. So if you're interested in any of those, do go and check them out. I'll link them below. Also, the Knitting Hotel have loads of dates available for next year. I'm teaching there a few times next year. It's all on their website at the moment. I think you go on their website, look at the dates and who the different tutors are. Some of their weekends includes 1 or 2 days of workshops. Some are just like, I think Belinda calls them a getaway, where you just come and bring your knitting in and chill. That's on their website. I'll link that below and you can go check that out. I think you look on their website, decide which weekends you're interested in, and then I think you have to email them for availability because they have a selection of rooms and I think they vary in prices and stuff like that. All the rooms, I believe, apart from 2, have sea views, and it's amazing, beautiful and really good fun. So do go and check that out. The Knitter, whatever the last issue was, I can't remember now. 28 maybe, I don't know. I'll see if I can put it on the screen if I remember. But that magazine is still in the shops at the moment. I left my copy downstairs this morning, but I had a design on the cover. Sure, I did a video about that a couple of weeks ago, which you can find on my channel. And Knitting magazine 269. I think that might still be in the shops, but I think the new issue is about to come out soon. So do go and check that out if you're interested. So I'm wondering if I can get away with sitting here holding my fan while I'm talking. I think that's going to be too noisy, but just need a bit of blast of cold air. So it's been really hot. It was lovely over the weekend. We had a long weekend here. Saturday was warm, but not unbearably hot, but quite warm. And we went to Tintagel in Cornwall on the north coast, about an hour from where we live. Famous for King Arthur, birthplace of King Arthur. Not sure. But Tintagel Castle, ruins there, and it's amazing walk. It's not very accessible if you have mobility problems. It's more accessible now than it used to be. But you walk down this quite steep hill from the village, and you used to have to walk quite far down, and down these steps, across the bridge, and up these really steep steps. Now they put a bridge, higher bridge out, so you walk down the steps flat for a bit, cross the bridge, and then you're straight onto where the ruins are. It's ruins of a castle on a headland. It's beautiful. The views are amazing. We haven't been there for a few years, and I was really surprised at how busy it was. And loads and loads of people there. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. It was bank holiday weekend, and it's half term here, and it's sunny, so I shouldn't be surprised, but I was. But the funny thing is that there was this queue for the old steps, which are really, really steep, and I was like, why is there such a long queue? And where they got the entrance to the old steps, which used to be the entrance to the castle, they got like a gateway, and they made it look like a kind of traditional castle wall. I didn't take a picture of it because it was just full of people. And apparently tourists like to stop and have their picture taken in that archway. And there was a member of staff there keeping an eye on the queue, and he basically shouted out, if you want to have your picture taken, you need to speed up. If not, I'm going to have to stop you and not allow any more pictures, because the queue was massive. And apparently Simon was talking to him later on, and he said that it's a very popular thing on Instagram or something, of people coming and having their pictures taken. And he said a lot of people come, have their pictures taken and leave, and don't walk around the rest of the site, which seems weird. I think there's loads of other ruined walls there which are much more attractive, with views better, and they're like genuine old walls, whereas I think this one might be like a purpose-built one. So I don't know, I find it very strange. But anyway, we've been going there for, well, I've lived here for 36 years, so been there a few times over the years, but really enjoyed that. Rest of the weekend we stayed at home, because on Sunday afternoon, evening, I started getting a sore throat. We had a chill day on Sunday, and then Monday I woke up with this stinking cold. So I haven't done very much at all this week. I do have a knitting deadline. I have 2 for when I come back from Norway, which both I'm knitting myself 2 jumpers. One I knew I had to finish prior to Norway, and I think I said last week that it was my goal to finish the body before I left by the end of the weekend. I finished the body on Sunday evening, picked up the stitches and knitted 3 or 4 rounds on the sleeve, and then I knitted first sleeve on Monday, the whole sleeve, and then yesterday I knitted the whole of the second sleeve. It's Wednesday today. I'm recording a day earlier than normal because Friday I'll be leaving for Norway. So I'm recording it. So I'm recording a day early. But I knitted whole sleeve on Monday, whole sleeve yesterday. I've got to just do the neckline now, which it actually has a bit of a collar on it, so that's going to take me a bit longer than, just knitting on a few rounds of rib or something. And then I've got to weave in all the ends and block it. So I'm hoping to get that finished this afternoon. I must admit, it's been quite unpleasant sitting with this big sweater. It's a bigger size than normal. It's a couple of sizes bigger than normal. Normally for magazines I'll do a size 10. This is a couple of sizes bigger, and it's in a DK yarn. It's quite a dense DK yarn, and the stitch pattern is quite dense. I can't show it to you or give away too much, but it's been quite heavy and warm to sit with that in my lap. I have sat mostly in the garden, because sitting in the garden under a big parasol is more comfortable than sitting in the lounge, because it's a bit of a breeze. Today it's quite windy actually, so it might be even more pleasant out there today, but it's a bit of a breeze, so it's been more pleasant to sit outside than to sit inside. So I've been sitting out in the garden, but not in the sun. So one of the things I forgot to talk about last week was my Feel crochet scarf, which I think I said a couple of weeks ago that I was hoping to finish before I went to Norway. Well, that's not going to happen. This is what I don't like about crochet, is if you pull on the working yarn, you start unraveling your work. Sometimes in the loop I have left when I put my crochet down, because your hook won't stay there. If you leave your hook in, it won't stay there. Sometimes I will put a marker in that just to stop it from unraveling. So I'm working on another filet scarf. This is a diamond one. I thought I had it here. Let me see if I can find it. I designed 2 filet scarves years ago when I was teaching crochet workshops, and then I stopped teaching crochet workshops, and last year I decided I was going to start teaching crochet workshops again, and I decided filet crochet was one of the first ones to start with because I had the workshop stuff already really. So I rewrote this pattern and changed it slightly, made a new sample. So that's the Love Is in the Air, I think it's called. Scarf. It's knitted it's crocheted as a straight scarf, and then the ends are joined together to form a loop. And then I did another one, which I don't think I've come up with a final name for yet. It's got a diamond pattern in the middle. The problem with this one is it's the same yarn as the other one, but it's a different colour. Problem is, even though I love this colour, it's really difficult to see the pattern, especially on photos. So when I was teaching it at Black Sheep Wool's last month, April, I crocheted up a little sample in a lighter yarn, just of one of the motifs, just so people can see what it looked like, and that's the heart one. This is in Yatagara Merino cotton. These two are in Symphony Viva DK. So then I decided that before I released that diamond pattern, I should probably crochet it up in a lighter colour. So instead of going for another Symphony Viva DK colour, I actually chose some from my stash. Spectrum Fibre DK, Superwash Merino, I think it is. I was a member of her yarn club. It wasn't last year, I think it was the year before, for the first 6 months of the year, and got beautiful skein of DK yarn every month. And my plan, I think, was to make a blanket out of it, but I haven't done anything with it. So I chose one of those. Obviously, it's not been blocked yet, so it looks a bit not great. Anyway, I've done the first square a few weeks ago, and then I did the second one. I actually did it, sat down one evening last week and did it. So last week on the podcast, I'd have something to talk about because I was working on this deadline thing. I was really worried about having anything to talk about. So I did another repeat on this especially, and then I forgot to talk about it. So anyway, I saved it for this week. Because this week I've not done a lot apart from this deadline knitting. So I'm probably not going to get any more done on this before I go to Norway. I might do another repeat. I don't know if I'll get any more done on that before I go to Norway. Depending on when I finish this sweater today, I don't want to start the crochet design I'm going to work on in Norway. And depending on how I get on with that, I might work on that tomorrow, or I might do a little bit on that scarf because I would like to finish it. Actually, no, I might try and do a bit on that scarf tomorrow because I would really like to finish it before I go back to Black Sheep Wool's and teach the next filet crochet workshop, which is only a week after I get back. Last week, I was also talking about these shapes, which I haven't done any more of. I thought about it last night, but I was very close to finishing the second sleeve on my deadline sweater, so I decided to do that instead. So I haven't done any more of those, and might try and do some tonight when I finish. If I finish my sweater, I don't know. So let's talk about what I'm taking with me to Norway. I worked on a lot this week. I haven't just been thinking, oh, it's a heat wave, I can't bother to work on anything. I've knitted a lot, but I just can't show you yet. I also had a sample come back from one of my sample knitters, and I sent that off to the magazine and wrote a pattern for that yesterday and recorded a little video talking about it before I sent it off. So I've done quite a lot this week, but I just can't talk about it a bit yet, which is a bit frustrating. Anyway, one of the things I'm taking with me to Norway is my truly hooked Formula 1 Landers helmet sock. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I finished a toe, which is where that marker is, and I've done 2 rounds since. I don't know when I did those. I did take this with me when we went to Tintagel on Saturday, but I didn't get a chance to knit anything. So knitting in the car on the way home is just too windy, so I didn't do that. and I didn't get a chance to nip over there. So this is a sparkle sock from Truly Hooked. Lando's helmet is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% selena. So I'm going to take that with me to Norway, and that'll be my kind of out and about sock. Might try and finish it while I'm there. I am thinking about maybe trying to go to the cinema. I really want to see The Devil Wears Prada 2, because I really enjoyed the first one. How many years ago that was. So I'd like to see number 2, but I haven't had a chance yet. So I might have a look and see if it's on the cinema when I get to Norway, and then go and see it on my own one evening and take my sock with me and work on that. The other project I'm taking with me is the one I asked for help with last week, which is my Filia crochet project. So I've done some more swatching and I've decided on which yarn to use. So first, any guesses on which yarn I decided to go with? So my choice was this grey, which is organic cotton, no, organic trio from YarnAddict, Paintbox cotton 4-ply, which I don't have, so I would have to order, or Pixie yarn in that gorgeous colorway. Any guess which one I went for? You may guess because the yarn's wound. So I think the comments were about equal. Some people saying, oh, go for the Paintbox. Working with the cheaper yarn might surprise you, might enjoy it. I think I would enjoy the Paintbox 4-ply cotton. I've seen my daughter's that she's working with, and it feels quite nice, and I think I would enjoy it. My reservations was I need to work through my stash this year, or as much through my stash as possible, so when we move, I have less to move. So, and all the sweaters I've done so far this year, I've bought new yarn for. Some of it I bought wholesale, so it's not been, expensive yarn. Well, it has, but I didn't pay retail price for it. But I also know that I have several sweater quantities sitting in my stash, so I need to start working on some of that. So that's why I decided to go with these Pixie colorway. The reason I was leaning towards the Paintbox cotton was because I want this to be a lightweight. I'm envisaging a lightweight sort of summer garment that I can just wear over t-shirts or dresses when it's a bit chilly in the evenings or in first thing in the morning and stuff on hot days. And the Pixie yarn is the superwash merino nylon sock yarn, whereas so anything with wool in it will be warmer than something that's 100% cotton. So that's why I was thinking about the cotton. But when I got the Pixie yarn out, I remembered how much I love that colorway. So I did another swatch. Yeah, that looks better. So my original idea was to go with like the open shapes with like an open thing in the middle, and then I did some with it closed up, and I quite like that. Actually, last week also swatched a different pattern. That kind of reminds me of like a 4-leaf clover. Do you see that? And I really like that, but that makes it a bit more solid, and I want this to be quite lacy. I did just run my numbers through a spreadsheet earlier to work out how much yarn I'd need, and this takes more yarn because obviously it's more solid than the other one. So I've decided for this project to stick with my original swatch. It's going to be, the pattern's going to be very subtle, but I'll make it and see what I think, and then decide whether I'm going to turn it into a pattern or not. Let's face it, none of the sweaters I've knitted for myself in the last couple of years have resulted in a pattern because I've been too lazy to actually sit down and write the pattern, which is so bad of me, but I need to do that. So I have started working on the chart this morning. I have worked out how much yarn I need. I may not have enough yarn. According to my spreadsheet, I will need 5 skeins. I only have 4. So I need to double check the width I want, and then I'm going to do the body first. So I'm going to do it top down. So I'll start at the back, do it to the underarm, and then do the front to the underarm, and then or is that it? No, that's will I? No, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do the whole back and then pick up stitches at the front and do the whole front. I was thinking if I decide to do it as a cardigan, which I haven't entirely discounted. That was my original plan, was to do a cardigan. Then I thought, no, I'll do a sweater. If I do a cardigan, I can do them both front and back to the underarm, and then do back and forth from the underarm all in one piece. If you don't crochet, you may not know this, but with knitting, if you're a crocheter and not a knitter, or if you only knit but don't crochet, you may not know this, but with knitting, you can basically make your rows, doesn't matter if you're on the right side or wrong side row, you can make them look the same. So for example, this stocking stitch swatch, if I knit this in the round or flat, I can make it look the same. If I knit it flat, I knit on the right sides and then I purl on the wrong sides, and that makes it look like it's all knit stitches on the right side. If I do it in the round, I just knit. That's not the same with crochet. If you're crocheting in the round, your stitches look a certain way. If you crochet back and forth, they look a certain way. So this is done in the round. So that's the right side and that's the wrong side. So I don't know if you can tell, but there's a difference between that side and that side. With crochet, let me just get my work piece of paper. So that's the right side. Oh, I don't know, that might be the right side, might be the wrong side. With crochet, and you're working back and forth, the two sides actually look identical. There's only a difference between the right and wrong side in crochet when you're working in the round like that. If you're working back and forth, they're the same, which means that with knitting, you can do back and forth and then go into working in the round and make it look identical. The only thing that might make it look different is if your tension is different between purl and knit stitches. But that's something you can work on fixing. With crochet, as far as I know, I don't think you can do that. I've never, unless you can, I've never worked it out. So with crochet, if I do the top to the under and back and forth and then start going in the round, it will look very different. So I have to do the whole thing in the round or the whole thing back and forth. So I'm going to do the whole thing back and forth. So I might do the whole back first, because then I can work out how much yarn I'm going to use and then do the front. And then, although if I do half the back and then half the front, I can try it on and get a better idea of the size. So I don't know. I need to think about that. I might, because I wound one ball already, I might start back and work a whole skein of yarn and see how far I get with that. I'm going to do dropped shoulders because it's just easier, and then I'm going to do the front, and then I'll do the sleeves last, and then if I run out of yarn on the sleeves, so basically when I start the sleeves, I'll measure how much yarn I got left, use up half of it for the first sleeve, and then make the second sleeve. So if the sleeves end up like elbow length, 3/4 or long, it doesn't really matter. I can make it work anyway. If it's for a summer thing, it might be better with 3/4 length. And in the winter, I can always wear it over long sleeve t-shirts and stuff. So that's what I've decided to go for. I also thought having wool in the garment makes it a little bit warmer, which might be a bit more like all year round friendly than cotton is. But I'm not saying I won't get the cotton at a later date, because I might. So that's what I've decided to work on when we go to Norway. As I said, I wound one skein and then I packed the other three because they're easier to pack in the skein than they are. This is obviously not the same yarn, but this, when they're like this, they're quite squishable, so I can squish them into places in my backpack. Whereas when they're like this, they're a bit more solid, so they're less squishable. So that's what I've decided to do. So I need to find another 3.5mm crochet hook. I'm always a bit nervous with crochet hooks because of the fact that if you lose it, you're stuck. And because they're not attached to your work, it's easy to lose them. Whereas with knitting, that's not such a problem because you're knitting. Well, because I use circular knitting, my knitting is attached to my needle the whole time while I'm working on it. So I'm less worried about losing it. So that's what I'm taking to Norway with me. I'm going to take a crochet project with the Pixie Yarns yarn that I've had in my stash for way too long. I think it's 2.5 years, but I'm not sure. And then I'm going to take my sock. I'm also considering whether I should take this. I'm in Norway for less than 2 weeks this time, so I'm going on a Friday and coming back on a Wednesday. So 13 days in total, including my 2 travel days. So really, I've only got 11 days in Norway, which isn't a lot really. I should have, normally I like to have like 13 or 14 actual days in Norway plus the 2 travel days. So I would normally go for like 15 or 16 days in total. A bit of a shorter video this week because all my work's been on the deadline project, which is a bit boring and always the thing that worries me when I work on deadline stuff. especially when it's stuff that I have to get finished and I have to focus on. The reason I had to finish this before I go to Norway is because I have another sweater I need to knit when I get back for another deadline. Their deadline's on the same day. I think I got 2 weeks. Hang on. When do I get back from Norway? I get back then. I have exactly 2 weeks when I get back to do it, and I'm away for 3 days as well for Black Sheep Bulls halfway through that. So I need to be ready to cast on this garment when I get back. I'm going to knit a swatch today and measure my tension and try and write a pattern today or tomorrow morning. And then if I get time tomorrow, I might cast on tomorrow for this new garment, so that when I get back from Norway, it's there ready and I can just crack on with it. Yeah, it's been a bit intense lately because I've had 3 deadlines in a row that have been a lot. It's been a lot. Being ill, but not so ill I couldn't knit, has kind of helped me, because then I've been able to just sit in the garden and do loads of knitting. Right, I'm starting to get very, very hot. Apologies if I look like I'm a bit glistening. I am hot. It is very hot in here. This room becomes unbearable in the afternoon, so I'm going to edit this video now and upload it, and then go and sit outside in the shade and do some more knitting, I think. Anyway, are you surprised about the choice I made for my sweater, my crochet sweater going to Norway? Anyway, let me know. Do you think I made the right decision using my pixie yarn? Let me know in the comments. Thank you to everyone who commented last week. I really appreciate it. Tuesday video this week was on bottom up versus top down sweaters, and on Sunday I did my second Italy video, so from Amalfi and Sorrento. So do go and check that out as well if you haven't seen it. I'll be back next week with some stuff from Norway, so I hope you'll come back for that. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.